We are back again at the Cherokee Indian School, but boy, we lucked out. This lady knows everything about everything.
I wish that were true, because you pushed me to the test on my memory and recollection of particular dates. So the difficulty of the language, I think the Cherokee language reflects the way that the Cherokee value system and the way that we view the world. If you look at how Native peoples across the country today are reacting to the Dakota Access Line, for example. Okay, so the things that we have, the way that we feel about our language and ourselves and the land, it's all fluid and it all wraps around everything, and so it's really hard to pull one part of our life or our culture out and to dissect it and say this is the way that things are, because everything just kind of just wraps itself around, and that's what makes the language so beautiful. That's the way our understanding of the world is so much different, and I think that Indigenous people feel that more than other people do. A little bit discriminatory, but not really. That's just the way that I was raised, and then the things that I've observed. I was raised in a foster parents in a white neighborhood, so I was raised by two of the whitest people in the world.
What location? Here or elsewhere?
In Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a weird accent.
I was going to mention that.
The language, and you ask, let's paint a picture of 1,000 years. So 1,000 years. So in 1917, probably wouldn't take us back far enough. What is happening here, happened in Cherokee, happened across, probably more more on the East Coast, because we were the first to be occupied. We were the first to have boarding schools here. The Moravian missionaries come in. The sword and the cross. I like that story. What did Christianity bring to the Cherokees? What did it take away? It took away a lot. But the language, and at the time of Sequoyah, who invented the syllabary, it was a way of communicating. I mean, he called it talking papers, because that's what printed material does. Is it speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly what he would be thinking. If I were Sequoyah at the time, and we have all of these struggles and treaties and all of these things that are going on that leave a paper trail, then you're going to want to compete to survive. So competing to survive means that I'm going to take, in your arsenal, you're using pen and paper. And so that's what he did my opinion is in order to be equal in that form, was to look at the writing systems. And he looked at several different writing systems. And if you look at Sequoyah's original script, it's, they use a quill, and it's a lot prettier than what it wound up being now. And so they've generated over time, and it was nice and fluid looking. And he had to study for years, because the language isn't like English is like cat, C-A-T. So we're looking at symbols or sounds put together. Cloth, T-L-A, in English, 3 characters is 1 character with Sequoyah's writing system. So we have 86 characters. So 86 characters to learn, as opposed to the English alphabet, the Roman alphabet. Any borrowed characters borrowed from the Roman alphabet, changing them to try to come up with a system, and changing and ridiculed, failing, and then finally, with the end product. And what you see on print today is, I don't know if you would say industrialized a little bit, because in order for it to go into printing presses, so like the newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, it had to be changed. Things called serifs were added to it, and what serifs are is those hard lines at the top and the bottom of some of the characters. That's where ink would well up. So the look of the syllabary today, everybody holds so rigidly. We have to keep things looking historically accurate. I'm like, those things on the end, the lines on the end, even on Roman characters, they're put there to keep ink from running from old printing presses. So it went from something nice and fluid to rigid, looking like the Roman alphabet.
And this is your calendar here?
Yeah, and this just is a representation of some, this.
I'll see if I can get any kind of a picture.
Yeah, you've got some crazy stuff written on here. So, but it's this, and as opposed to what it looks like there with the harsh lines right there. So,
okay,
it changed over time, but languages change over time. If a language can't change over time, it dies. So, Cherokee language has changed over time. There's multiple dialects reported, and now we have several. Community dialectal differences, community differences. You get into this little dialectal. Who's right and saying different things, and I've heard that in other native communities that they're having arguments over how to say things. I'm like, okay, well, everybody's having arguments over how to say things, and language is going to die. So we try to work on those things too, internal issues of, yes, your grandma said it that way, my grandma said it this way, and his grandmother said it this way, and so let's leave those things to the side and come to consensus before everybody dies.
Now, from Kentucky, how did you end up back here? If I'm not too nosy.
Oh, I don't care.
Did some fire inside you?
Yes, it's called I got in trouble.
Oh. And this was one of the choices?
My white family was friends with my grandmother, and they didn't have children, and they were visiting, and I liked them, and she let me go. It's just kind of as crazy and simple as that.
I'm a big believer in fate, but
She wrote a note to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and gave them permission to take me, and I visited, and then eventually, wanted to come back. So, what may seem like a romantic notion of being tied to, Cherokee roots, and let me just put this, I'll just be very frank about it. We were poor here. There is a lot of dysfunction in our native communities. There's dysfunction everywhere, don't get me wrong.
yeah, I was going to say.
I'm not painting a picture that everything is all horrible and beastly here. It's not any more so than it is anywhere else. It's that when you're a child and you don't have two parents, we were poor, didn't have a place to live. My mom was single, and so we didn't really have a home. It was just bouncing around. And so, go to foster parents. I had a nice, literally, it was a white house. I had a white school.
White dog.
I had a white dog.
Yep.
I had a white dog. I actually wanted to be white because I didn't want to be different than anybody else. And no offense to anyone who's crossed the border, I grew up in a time before the border was wide open, and I was the only dark person in my school at all. None whatsoever. I was the darkest person in school, and so I didn't want to be different, although I was kind of like a little celebrity. And eventually I did come home, and I still didn't really, I didn't really have an appreciation, because people in the native community, we're hard on each other. And I came home, I went to school, and I came home after a week because I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's going to be the same color as me. Finally, I'm with my people. They're going to pray, welcome me back. It didn't happen like that.
Right. How soon can I go back?
I was wondering, I came home, I'm like, why is everyone so angry? Everyone is angry. Everyone is fighting. Everyone is mean. I'm dressing like a girl, and my shirt's tucked in, and I'm wearing girl shoes, not basketball shoes, and it was hard. It was hard. We think that we're hard. That we're harder on ourselves.
Oh, I was taught to be a chameleon. If they want a redneck, yeehaw. If they want a cowboy, go get them. If they want an Indian, burn them at the stake. Whatever it took, whatever they thought that.
It took me 10 years after graduating to finally go back to trying to figure out who I really was, besides the pseudo version that was accepted in the community. So, I mean, and
Or
that
the stereotype.
the stereotype. And then I didn't believe in historical grief and trauma until as an adult and finally being able to step back and going, okay, I lived in the white world for a while and I came back. What I was in the middle of and what we are in the middle of today is still historical grief and trauma. It's real. It is a real animal, and we are our own worst enemy. When there is no shadow and no hand suppressing us any longer, we are our own worst suppressors because we don't know how to live in a normal environment. We can't live without chaos.
We can't live together.
Mm-hmm.
We can't agree. That's our nation. There are about 4 different, really definite factions, but they'll almost disagree to disagree.
We are all disagreeing to disagree right now, and I think that Native communities and United States today, what we see in our little small communities is what we're seeing at large. What we see in our tribal governments in the turmoil is what we're seeing in the United States. What we see in our little bitty tiny communities as far as drugs in the community, we're seeing that across the nation. Actually, when President Obama was in office, they had a motorcade going to Pine Ridge because of the escalated amount of suicides. On their way there, 2 teens killed themselves while the motorcade was on its way. There was a caucus held in Washington and to talk about those things, and they were closely looking at our Native youth and how they were with pill addictions, and so because it's what's happening in our little bitty places is happening across the country. And so I'm listening to people argue this morning on tribal council, and I'm like, my God,
If they'd all take a deep breath and unite, oh my goodness, the strength would be incredible.
When we're not even a bleep, we don't even make a beep in the monitor when they're discussing how the demographics of the election. We didn't make a beep. Then all I can say is, hey, we are not taking care of each other because they didn't even mention us. I waited and listened to every demographic report that I could get my hands on to see, did anyone listen to what we had to say? No, they didn't, because we probably weren't saying anything.
Pause here for a second.